Hi everyone, Cleus Glory Young here. I wanted to come on here and give you some updates as far as what's been going on so far and what's coming up. But before I get into the updates, I want to take the moment to say thank you. And I mean thank you from the bottom, or should I say, the depth of my heart to those who have been so supportive of the airport adventure. 2023 has been a significantly remarkable year so far. I know people often talk about things are not perfect, people are not perfect, situations are not perfect. I get that. But from my own reality of what I've seen so far in the last 11 months, I've seen what I would call perfect or perfection. All right. 11 perfect months so far. Let's clarify that though, right? Did things always go the way I want them to go? No, right? Did I have different challenges that appeared in 2023? Yes. But for some odd reason, or should I correct myself and said for some divine reason, some things that went left and this is what I wanted and they weren't working out, they started to go right. And it was like right in favor of what I needed at that particular time, even though this is what I started out and this is what I wanted, and it wasn't going the way I wanted it to. But divinely, it went into alignment of where it perfectly worked out to what I needed at that particular moment. And that's 11 months of what I've had so far, right? So for me, I want to take the time out to say thank you for those who have been so supportive of the airport adventure, because this was the only difference that I've made in my life within the last 5 years, right? And I could see that if I've included this in my life and then what happened, my life started to change or adjust or transform to a certain point where now I'm sitting here being thankful, being happy, being satisfied, and being fulfilled with my life. I could accumulate all of this and attribute it to the airport adventure. So that's that, right? Was things always like this? No. So I remember 5 years ago when I started the journey, I was coming from what I would say the worst period of my life, or should I equate it where you can truly understand? I went through a process of what I would call mental depression. And it's not mental depression as in things were crazy and I was losing my mind and that's how my life was going. No, life was good at that particular time, right? But at some point, I started to find out that my close friends that were in the proximity of really being close were doing things behind my back. And when I started to find out these things now, mentally, I didn't know how to conceive these things and cope with them. So it sent me into what is called a mental depression. But I kid you not. You remember I was talking just now about how things went left, right? And perfectly or divinely went right. What they did during that process that allowed me to go through that mental depression was what my life needed for me to, one, discover the airport adventure, and then two, move from mental depression to mental aviation. So that is the context of what I've done with my life in the last 5 years. Move my life from where it's a low part to now where it's a higher level. And with this, I was able to now understand the airport from a totally different angle. Back then, I viewed it as a transportational hub, as many of us do, where we go to the airport, get on an airplane, and the airplane takes us to a whole new destination. Because of my circumstance and my situation of how I encountered the airport, and it allowed me to see it from a different level, where I was able to integrate certain things of the airport and align them to my life and allowed my life to go to a whole new destination. And that's what I've done in the last 5 years. And some of you guys may recall this, the Airport Adventure Live Safely Bookazine. This to me, as an author, we often write a book and saying, hey, we want this book to sell. I get that. That's the mission, right? But for this book, I never looked at it as I wanted to write something to sell. I get to that part at some point, but the idea of why I wrote that book, I was saying, how do I use this as a platform to build the other things that was supposed to come around the context of the Airport Adventure? So for me, it wasn't about selling books. It was building a platform in which I could comfortably stand on and then build the rest of the capacity of what I saw back then, right? So as odd or weird, as abnormal this may seem, I saw the airport as a healing modality, and that's what I ran with. And yes, it's crazy, it's weird, it's odd. That's what I thought, until where I'm at today and seeing the reality and saying, no, this is not odd. No one has never taught us about that context or that side of the airport before, and that's why it may appear to be odd or crazy or abnormal, right? So that's where I'm coming from. Things went left, and then divinely, they now started to work out perfectly in favor of my life, right? So here's some updates that I wanted to share with you. We have done 3 trauma events this year. Remember I said I built this, right, as a platform. So the platform that we now stand on is the context of trauma. So we have done 3 events so far this year, and one thing that I could tell you that I've experienced in the 3 different events, which accumulated from 3 different audiences, right, is the feedback that these things that we were teaching them about trauma or exposing them to around trauma was different from what they were accustomed to learning. So with that, now we looked at it and saying, how could we progress this now into 2024 to begin to share with you concepts about trauma that even me, myself, when I tell you it was a profound awakening for me, like literally starting to understand trauma from a totally different angle right now than what has been taught to us. And these were some of the things that we shared with our audience, and they went through that profound awakening as well. So for 2024, we're saying to ourselves, right, how could we begin to now go to what we would call an integration process? I'm not talking about a solution. This is what we normally talk about. How could we find solutions for our life? I'm not talking about solutions. What worked for me and what I saw for my life was the concept of integration. So I integrated the concept of the airport in my life and then allowed it to align to certain principles. And then that integration and alignment started to take me to a whole new destination with my life, where today I could sit right here and honestly say, from a genuine standpoint of my reality right now, I am happy, I am thankful, I am satisfied, I am fulfilled with my life. And this is the reality I'm saying. How do I get others to actually be in such a position with their life too? So when you're in this position, then you go to what is called a contributing factor of life, that you look at things and like, hey, how could I contribute to these things? So that's a factor that's taking the reality of my life right now, right? And that's what we're looking at. How could we help people to get to this place of their life? So this week, we have been awarded the opportunity to go to a collegiate conference to go share trauma, which is going to be an eye-opening moment as far as what I'm seeing in the presentations that has been built so far, right? It's going to be an eye-opening moment. Um, I don't know how to explain it, but I could tell you for someone who has been diving into this topic for the last year, I could tell you that what trauma is right now was never what trauma was probably 2,000 years ago. You hear how far I went back? 2,000 years ago, right? And before that, right, trauma was probably something else. So, long story short, to me, it's like, how do you rectify something if you're just dealing with the fruit of it? You have to get to the root. And that's what we've been able to do, get to the root of it so we can give to people a better understanding of how to integrate certain things in your life, allow your life to align to certain things, and then now it moves you to a whole new destination. That's the concept of the airport. Integration, alignment, new destination. We're not talking about solution, because solution has been used so many ways in which sometimes even the solutions that were given to us brought us back into the same predicament, right? So we're talking about integration and alignment. So this is what we want to share with you for 2024. We want to integrate certain things in your life and then align it with certain things and allow you to now go to a whole new destination with your life. If you're interested in things like this, hit us up and let's begin this process. 2023 is coming to an end. We're going into 2024, and you can't be living the same way you've been living in 2023 or prior as we're moving into 2024. Learn how to integrate certain things. You heard that? Integrate, right? That means it's inside of you that you're going to be working on. And when you integrate certain things, then what happens now, it begins to align your life with certain things. The integration and alignment now brings you to a whole new destination. So this is what we're going to be doing. And if you don't understand what I just did, right? So there's AI that has been integrated in our life, right? AI, artificial intelligence. So what I did, I just flipped it around. IA, integration, alignment. Listen, you have to understand certain things about life, right? And when you understand these things, you apply them to your life in an integrated factor and let them factor into the reality of who you are and align with certain things that are above you. And then it now brings you to a whole new destination. So January 20th, we're going to do this production. It's a theatrical production. We're hoping that you can be in the space so we can show you how to integrate certain things in your life and start to now transform your trauma from the reality of a deficit to now you see the benefit. So I could now go back to my friends and saying, hey, thank you for what you did, because now I see it as a benefit rather than a deficit. Think about that, right? January 20th, 2024. It's the first month of the year. Let's start this off where we literally get the opportunity to do what? To start the year off, integrate certain things, and then as you go throughout the rest of the year, allow these things to align you to a different context of who you're supposed to become. And then what happens now, by the end of the year, you'll see you at a new destination. And then from at a new destination, you just start to build out what is it that you want to actually accomplish in life. I started here. It was a new destination. And from there now I started to build on that platform to where we are today. I learned it, I discovered it, now I want to share it with you. My team and I are willing. Are you willing to get the integration and alignment that could bring you to a whole new destination? All right? So until then, God bless.